Okay, hello everybody. This is Tanya and I'm live here with Judith Hamilton, and we're going to dive into entrepreneurship and what it means to grow a business. And so Judith, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure to be here, Tanya.
Yeah. So let's dive right on in. And just a comment, anybody that's watching this, if please type in the comments, let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, let us know. So Judith, tell us about your journey. Where did you start, and how did you end up deciding to work with female entrepreneurs?
Right. Okay. Well, my background is that I'm a chartered management accountant. So the accountants that work in a business, not the ones that work in practice. And I really enjoyed that. And I would say that I am a finance person really at core. That is, what makes me tick really is looking at numbers and setting targets and measuring stuff and all that. But I worked my way up the ranks when I came out of university, and I did my accounting qualification, and I worked in some big organizations like the NHS, some universities, and some private health companies. And I managed a lot of staff, and I did a lot of general management as well as the finance stuff. But I always kind of felt that I was working really hard, but for everybody else. So I was in the NHS, which was brilliant, but I couldn't see the real impact that I was making because I was so far removed from a patient. And 10 years ago, I had quite a high profile job in the NHS, and it literally was killing me. The stress was too much. I really had to look at what I was doing. And I made the conscious decision 10 years ago then to leave. So, I was working at deputy director level, and I made the decision that I needed to make some changes to my life. And so I left that 10 years ago. And I'd kind of always had, I think looking back, I had an inkling that I wanted to be my own boss, but I didn't know what that could look like. And being a finance person, I didn't know whether that was something that I could do as a freelance, but clearly you could. So I left employed work 10 years ago, set up on my own to specifically help small businesses like self-employed or businesses with maybe, up to 50 employees. And I specifically wanted to bring in my expertise and my knowledge that I had developed through working in those big organizations. I wanted to bring them into the smaller business, because I could see 10 years ago that there were more and more small businesses being formed every day. And that's what I did. And then in terms of working with ladies, I do work with men. I do have male clients, and I've worked really well with them. But myself and the co-founder of Grow Her Business, we've come to realize that women work differently, and we have different needs when it comes to running our business. We operate differently, and there are some women who actually consciously only want to work with other women. Now, that's not me, and my business partner is the same, but we recognized there was a gap in the market there, or a need in the market, and that's why we decided to set up Grow Her Business.
Okay. So I have a couple questions. I guess the first one being, what did you notice? Sorry, I thought I turned that little dingy thing off. What did you find was drastically different? Like, so you worked in a much more larger corporate setting. What was the transition like to take all that knowledge and experience and funnel it in a totally different environment, and setting? What were some of the things that stayed, and what were some of the things that maybe you had to let go of? Or was it just like, oh yeah, this is all applicable?
Yeah. No, I would say it wasn't all applicable. In terms of my own personal journey, I did not appreciate just how many other things I would have to do as a business owner that I kind of either didn't know or took for granted when I was in a bigger organization. So, that was a shock, really, in terms of, oh yeah, I'm responsible for the marketing. Oh yeah, I'm responsible for if the IT goes wrong, and all that stuff. And so it was actually quite overwhelming, which is, again, something in the business that we say is that when Elaine and I, my co-founder, when we set out on our own,
Mm-hmm.
we tried to do everything ourselves, and we thought we had to do everything ourselves. And actually what we're saying to our members in Grow Her Business is, you don't have to do it all yourself, and you're not expected to know everything. You just need to know who to ask. But going back to what you were asking, I think one of the things that the principles are still there when you're running a business. You still need to know your purpose. Why is the business even exist? Why is it even here? You need to have clear goals and targets, and you need to measure against those, and you need to keep good control of the finances, and you need to have good relationships with people. So all those principles applied in a big organization just as much as they apply to a sole trader. I think probably one of the big changes, the big differences is that you can make decisions much more nimbly, if there's such a word, much more quickly when it's yourself or a small business. Whereas in the bigger organizations, there can be so many hoops that you have to jump through, and actually, sometimes making a quick decision is the right thing to do. But in those big organizations with all the bureaucracy and everything, you don't manage to get the decisions made that quickly and action taken. Whereas in a small business or sole trader, you can literally decide you're going to do something and you do it. You can do it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So that would probably be one of the biggest contrasts that I see.
Interesting. And so what, in terms of female entrepreneurs, you said that you find that women work very differently. So I'd love for you to talk about that, because to me, it seems that the corporate world has been mostly, male dominated, designed from a man's perspective and energetics and so forth. And, women enter, obviously there's many women in corporate world, but what I find is a lot of them end up burning out and want to leave corporate America and go off on their own. So yeah, could you talk with us about that? What are some of the differences that you see?
Well, what I've seen is that women make decisions more. They bring more of motion and more wider perspective when they're making a decision. It's not, they're more inclined to ask for views and perspectives, and they will think about the impact more than men do. And I'm not saying that men railroad through, but there is a difference. I could see that with men, they make a decision. They think it's the right decision. It's not that they're thinking they're not doing something knowing that it's not, but they wouldn't naturally think about, oh, I should check with this person and I should ask that person, and perhaps I should, think about the emotional impact and things like that. Whereas women are just generally more considerate of the wider impact. And women as well, they need places, they need safe spaces where they can go and offload. Men, again, aren't so good at offloading, which, we that's a whole different topic. But men, I think, would keep things in, and not necessarily, they don't need somewhere safe to be able to go and rant or discuss things or say, do you know what, I'm having a really bad day. But women do. That is a need of women, to be able to go and feel they're in a safe space where they can say, do you know what, I'm really struggling with this. Can you help? I'm losing sleep about it. And so that was a big part of our membership as well, is having that safe space for women to come and put their hand up and say, I'm struggling. And men generally don't put their hand up and say they're struggling. And then women feel that if they are in an environment where there are a lot of men, they're then frightened to put their hand up and say they're struggling because they feel that they may be judged for it. So that would be probably one of the biggest areas that I would see the difference between men and women, and networking as well. Men network very different from women. Men quite often just want to get down to the nitty-gritty, and women are more fluffy and more, wanting to get into know that person and talk to them about, children and grandchildren and stuff like that. And I am generalizing, but I've networked for 10 years now, and I love chatting to men just as equally as I love networking with women. But I have noticed that men quite often just want to get pretty quickly into the detail, whereas the women will be, oh, how was your holiday? And how you doing? And, oh, I like your outfit. And, it's just a different approach.
So do you find that, are there common challenges for female entrepreneurs when they're starting up their business? Like, I think you mentioned a little bit at the beginning about, when you're starting a business, you suddenly realize, like, oh, I'm the one responsible for everything. And how do you help women or entrepreneurs in general? I would say it's applicable to both genders, but so I feel like I see a lot of people who have great ideas. They want to shift careers, or they want to, follow their bliss, or, follow their purpose, and they have an idea. And then when it comes to, like, okay, now we got to start somewhere. We got to bring that idea into the actual 3D world. What are the gaps, I guess, maybe, that you help people bridge in, to kind of move from the overwhelm of, like, oh, I have an idea, but I don't even know where to start, to actually, being in some kind of flow?
Yeah. Okay. Something I didn't say a minute ago as well is that one of the differences I see between men and women in the small business arena is that women are more inclined to suffer from that old thing, the imposter syndrome. I'm not saying that men don't suffer from it, but it is more prevalent in women, and certainly women would be more. You would hear more women actually be open about it and say, I do feel like a fraud. I feel like I'm going to be found out. I feel like, oh, the market's saturated in what I do, and why would anyone want to work with me when there's all these? So women are there's more women say that than there are men. So imposter syndrome is another area that we work on within Grow Her Business. But your question about, if someone's employed, sitting in employment at the minute, man or woman, doesn't matter, and they're thinking, I'd really love to be my own boss, I've got this idea. So there's a number of things that I would say is, it's a really big thing leaving employed world to go self-employed. A really big thing. Not only do you lose that financial security of getting a salary every month, but you also have all these other things, like you go from being part of a team to just being yourself. You go from having people at your fingertips if something goes wrong in a part of your business, like we said earlier about marketing and IT and stuff like that. So you lose all that. So you're losing this financial security of money coming in every month or every week, and then you're also losing that team around you, and it can be really, really lonely when you're a business owner. But some practical things in terms of, if you are sitting in an employed job at the minute thinking, I'd love to be on my own boss, I'd love to do this thing. So my advice is always do it in a planned way. Don't just decide, do you know what, I'm going to hand my notice in and I'm just going to hope for the best, because that generally is going to go all wrong. People, it takes time to build a business up. It takes time to get a reputation. It takes time to know what you're doing. It takes time to get clients, etc. So do it in a planned way. So some practical stuff in terms of that is, build up a pot of money that will keep you going for, at least 6 months. Maybe you're lucky, maybe you've got a partner who could support you to give up work straight away. Most of us wouldn't be in that position, but some people might be. So it's having a plan, which will include having a financial pot that will keep you going. In terms of your business idea, you need to make sure that it is a legitimate, it's going to have legs. So most of us do something that isn't new. Most of us are going in to do something that there already are lots of other people doing there. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. What it does mean is that there's a need for it. But then you need to be clear about, well, what's your unique selling point? So if you're going to do something that other people are doing, what will be different about you? And the first thing that will be different about you is that it's you, and there's no other you out there, and you'll do it. You might be a HR person, and there's hundreds and thousands of other HR people out there, but they're not doing what you do in the way that you do it. They haven't got the exact experience you've got. They haven't got the exact perspectives. They're not you. They don't have your values and principles. So going back to my point is, one of the first things is understanding, is there a need for what my business idea is saying? So if it's something really unique, you need to do some testing. Will people buy this off me, whether it's a product or a service? So establishing if you've actually got something that will sell, having a financial plan so that you're not going to be struggling to pay your bills. So get a good 6 months money in your bank, or start it as a side hustle, which is what a lot of people do. So start as a side hustle when you're employed, and then if you are able to, then reduce your employed days, go down from full-time to part-time, and gradually move out if your employer will allow you to do that. Or do something else on the side whilst you build up the business. There are other ways to bring income in. So my advice is always to, as much as people can get very passionate and think, oh, I just want to get on with this and I just need to leave work because then I'll have the time to do it. You do need to do it in a structured way, because if you don't, you'll get yourself into a pickle, and then you'll end up just not doing what you set out to do in the first place.
Yeah. It seems, I would say, at least I can speak for myself, I know, like, the sense of safety is so important. If you don't have, especially I think as a woman, that's just kind of natural, right? We want to feel safe. And so when it makes a lot of sense that you want to proceed with caution, so that you're not dysregulated and stressed out all of a sudden, going like, oh my God, my bank account is quickly draining and now I'm in a panic. And when you're in that state, it's really difficult to do anything that's productive. Yeah. So tell us more about Grow Her Business. What are the different areas of business that you help entrepreneurs with?
Yeah. So before I talk about what Grow Her Business does, and I should have probably said this in your other question, is the other thing that you need to do when you decide that you want to, go off and have your own business and leave employed world, is you need to invest in the right training and development for yourself. So find, you will be brilliant at whatever it is you do. So if you, if you're let's say a beautician, whatever, you're brilliant at what you do, but you won't be brilliant at the other things that are needed to run a business. So you need to find a way to plug those gaps, whether it's get your own knowledge and development in place, or find people who will do it for you. So whether you're a man or a woman, doesn't matter. You need to, that has to be part of your plan, is right, okay, I've never run a business before. I need to find out what I need to know to run a business. What skills do I need? What information do I need? What people do I need around me? So that's a part of you doing your plan from getting from employed to self-employed. In terms of Grow Her Business and what we provide to our members, we provide education and training on the fundamentals of running a business. So all those things that if you were like me, you probably didn't really think about them all at the time. So okay, finance is my bag, but it won't be other people's bag if they're not a finance person. So understanding your finances, knowing how to set your prices, setting prices that are aligned to your own values and principles, aligned to your branding and positioning in the market that you want to be. We teach our members how to write a business plan. We teach them lots on marketing. So being clear on who your ideal client is, being clear on what it is you provide. So if you provide a service, okay, are you clear on the outcomes that you provide people with? Because if you're not clear when you're doing your marketing, your ideal client will not be clear, so they won't be your client. So being clear on your outcomes, being clear on where your clients hang out, how you're going to reach them. We do stuff on social media marketing, how to do a good website. We do lots on mindset, so dealing with imposter syndrome, dealing with the overwhelm. What else do we do? We do other things, like we've got training on how to make sure you've got all your home admin in place in terms of life insurance and pensions and all that stuff that self-employed people quite often forget about. They're just so busy doing the do, they don't think about, oh, well, what if I got sick and I couldn't work? What about when I'm not? What about when I want to retire? What am I going to retire on? So we bring in some practical support as well. So we do the training and education. We've got a Facebook group where people can ask questions and we give tips and advice and guidance. We have it's all online. So we have 2 online networking sessions a month as well. And then the private Facebook group where our members can hang out, ask each other questions, give each other a lift when they need it, celebrate when things need celebrating, and just generally hang out and network with each other. Mm-hmm. It's all about empowerment, really. So it's empowering our members with the knowledge and skills they need. It's giving them an opportunity to network. Obviously, they shouldn't just network within the membership, because they need to be, widening their network. But we give them the opportunity to network twice a month, and we give them that safe online space on Facebook to feel like they're part of a community, which is what it is. It's a community.
Yeah. And so would you say that it's mostly online entrepreneurs that you're working with, or is it also open to people that have brick and mortar businesses, let's say?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely mostly online, but we do have some solicitors in there who've got offices with a few staff. We've got an accountant in there who's got a few staff. So I would say it's probably 80-20 in terms of online businesses.
Okay. And so is this, Grow Her Business, is it all just kind of like a group program, or do you offer one-on-one consults? Like what are the different options as far as how people can participate?
Yeah, sure. So we have 4 ways you can work with us. So we've got our free Facebook group, which is called Women Doing It for Themselves. And obviously costs nothing to join that group. And we're in there giving free advice and tips and guidance. We do free talks in there. So I did a talk last week about what you can claim in terms of expenses through your business. Obviously, that's a UK specific topic, but very rarely is it a UK specific topic. But that's just an example. So I did a free talk in the group last week about what expenses UK businesses can claim through their business. We're in there giving motivation. We're giving. We'll go live with little videos on myself and Elaine on giving sort of ideas, and we have certain posts that we put every week. So on a Friday, our members can promote their business or any special offers or events that they've got going on. So we've got that free group. Then we've got our membership to Grow Her Business, which is £27 a month. And that's where there's a library of trainings. There's 25 in the library already, 25 training videos, and there are 2 added every month. And then there's the 2 networking sessions and the Facebook community. So they get all of that for £27 a month. And then we have our fast track, our 12-week fast track your business growth program, which we're just at near the end of our beta program of that. So our next cohort will start in January. And then our members can work with us one-on-one, which we give them a discounted rate. If they're a member of Grow Her Business, they get preferential rate for working either one-on-one with me or Elaine, or two-on-one if they want both of us. So we've got 4 ways to work with this, starting from free right up to one-on-one.
Excellent. Well, I feel, I think it's so important. I know for myself, I think, it's kind of like the biggest shock. And interestingly, it's not something that, at least definitely isn't taught in university. When you go and you choose a certain route, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go and this is what I'm going to master. And you go and you do the thing and you get the degree, and then you get thrown out into the world and you're just like, oh, wait a minute. how do I even start? It's almost, it's kind of a shame that that's not something that's really just kind of like a fundamental, but regardless, it really is, it definitely takes dedication. The marketing aspect and all of the aspects of business is definitely something that you can't ignore if you're wanting to support yourself in that way and create something that's going to grow and thrive. And I know for myself it was definitely an eye-opener when I went into the realm of energy healing and thought, okay, great, I see that I'm going to have to do this online thing. And I thought, I'll just put up a website and people will just come, right? I was so naive, and it's like, oh no, okay, no, I have to figure out social media. And that was like a whole nother universe within it of itself. And I definitely stress to everyone watching that if you're thinking of going out and being your own boss and creating a business, as beautiful as your vision is, there is definitely the very practical, tactical reality that you have to really kind of contend with and embrace. So is there anything else that you would like to leave for the viewers? Anything else that you think they should know, or before we end our talk?
I think all I would say is that just be really clear about your why. So why have you set your business up? And when you're having a bad day, go back to that, actually have it written down. So write down why. So why did I set my business up? And then when you're having that bad day, bring it back out and read it. Because you will have bad days. You'll have many, many, many bad days.
Yeah.
And you'll have if you've recently left employed world to go self-employed, you will have many days where you're waking up and think, I think I just need to go back and get employed again. And we've all been there. And that's the day you need to bring out your little piece of paper or bring your phone up wherever you've got it and remind yourself of why you set your business up. And that will give you that oomph again to keep going. It's never going to be easy. No one said it was ever going to be easy. And if it was easy, everybody would be self-employed. So just be clear on your why and remind yourself of it regularly. That would be what I would say.
That's so powerful. It's so true, because it's like as you go along the journey after months and years and being in the marketplace, and we all compare ourselves to others, which is the worst thing to do, but you can't help it. You're looking at other people and suddenly you can feel like, wait a minute, suddenly I'm not feeling so clear. Like, wait, why did I start this in the first place? And so, the focus on your why is really the fuel to just stay focused, stay on point, and trust. So thank you for that.
And I'd add one other thing as well, if I may, is if you're feeling overwhelmed, which again happens a lot, is try and simplify, try and say for example you're overwhelmed and you've got lots of different, say you're a service provider and you're thinking and you're trying to provide all these different services and you're feeling really overwhelmed, just stop doing some of them for a while and just streamline and just say, I'm going to focus on that one offering or those two offerings for the time being until I've got those nailed, and then I'll go back out again. So you can contract and expand. Overwhelm is something that that goes with the territory of being self-employed. But I find with myself, if I get overwhelmed, one of the best things I can do is try and simplify what I'm doing and get rid of some things temporarily, maybe, and just try and be simple for a few weeks or months and get back on track.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's excellent advice. Well, Judith, thank you so much for
you're welcome.
What you're sharing, what you're doing. It's definitely so valuable and so needed. And, I think in this great awakening, this big shift that we're going through on a planetary level, I think women, have a lot of the solutions. And so we need to be encouraged to be willing to take risks and bring our gifts out and share them, because they're needed. And so I love that you are in a position to really help female entrepreneurs and men also. But yeah, it just feels like now's the time for innovative ideas and what else do I want to say? I guess just new perspectives and new ways of doing business. So thank you so much, Judith.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you everyone who's watched this. If you have any questions, please, you can find Judith Hamilton on Facebook. Go to growherbusiness.com. You can see what she's got going on there and join her Facebook group. So thanks so much, everybody, and have a beautiful rest of your day or evening wherever you are.